But as that responsibility starts extrapolating to more complexity for how our teams, how our tooling, how our infrastructure works, I want to make sure that I have a sense of that. And that's where these metrics I feel are very important. And there's never too early to have this information. It's more of a question of cost of ownership.
Hey, I'm Steve McGhee. I'm a reliability advocate at Google Cloud. I was an SRE for a long time, and now I help people build more reliable systems on the cloud.
Hi, I'm Kyle Campbell, founder of CTO.ai. We are a modern development platform that helps companies measure the software developer experience. Been an entrepreneur and a self-taught software engineer for a long time, and love to help developers build internal developer platforms. What size do you think a company needs to be? Or what is the optimal size for a company to start thinking about DORA metrics in their practice?
I would say like it's more about not size, but I don't want to say maturity either. It's not really age. It's sort of like, once you're past product market fit, this is the type of thing you want to be looking at. If you're still iterating on what it is that we're doing as a startup, probably not worth your time. But once you kind of know you're delivering this software to this, cohort of customers, and it's all about dialing it in and, getting the changes out there quick and keeping everybody happy and like getting more customers, like it's that level. And that tends to be, we have north of 10 to 100 software developers somewhere in there. Probably not, single software developers. Certainly you don't need to worry too much if you're a singleton, in terms of like communication overhead and things like that. But often where we get a lot of the best interest is when you start to have teams that depend on each other. So, in the dozens, maybe, in terms of, entire product teams. Certainly if you're in the many hundreds and you have like lots of product teams and they're all interrelated in funny ways, that's where like the complexity of that interaction can really result in a lot of like unnecessary bureaucracy and like overhead. And this is the type of stuff that some of the DORA capabilities can help you identify and resolve. But if you don't have those problems because you're, a very, very tiny team that's just getting started, then yeah, you don't need to worry too much about this stuff. So that's, I don't know, complicated answer to a simple question, but it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's complicated because complexity adds up over time, and it's hard to work backwards on complexity.
Yeah,
I think my point of view has always been that companies wait too late to try to measure, and the reason that they begin to measure is because the complexity is added up to a point where they now feel something is wrong, and they're trying to quantify that feeling, whether it be through talking to people or measuring. And so the point of view I've tried to bring through the business that we've been building at C2I is like, how can we make access to this information as accessible as possible, as early as possible? My dream has always been, as that early stage CTO, the moment I hand off, responsibility as, let's say, the technical founder, whether it be responsibility for the DevOps tool chain, responsibility from an engineering or product management, but as that responsibility starts extrapolating to more complexity for how our teams, how our tooling, how our infrastructure works, I want to make sure that I have a sense of that. And that's where these metrics I feel are very important. And there's never too early to have this information. It's more of a question of cost of ownership, right? And instrumenting them. So to the extent that we can make it easier for people to get access to this information earlier, I feel like that's a good thing, because I feel that if you get too far down this path and your goal is to work backwards, that's what makes change really, really hard.
Yeah. There's a, I don't know if it's a saying or not, but I've heard it, is that like technical debt is cumulative. So often what we see with things like, DevOps in general, but like DORA specifically in terms of helping out, is that a lot of it is just attacking this technical debt, whether it's procedural or purely technical. And if you haven't built up a ton of it, then you don't feel like it's much of a problem. I mean, most of the time. So I think you're right. Like it takes a while for it to accumulate, before you realize like, oh, we need to like systematically get better at this and stop accumulating it, let alone burn it down as well. If you want to learn more about DORA, check out dora.dev. And you can join our community as well. There's a URL, dora.community, which is an actual URL. You can type it into your browser. And where we meet up a couple times a month to talk about DORA and how they're adopted within communities and organizations. And then keep a lookout for Ask Dora. I call it Dora Bot, but we have an LLM that's trained on all of the DORA material for the past 10 years. And you can ask it any question you'd like to better understand all the material within the DORA reports over the years. And don't forget to check out the Accelerate book as well. It's 10 years old and it still rings true.
If you're looking to advance your CI/CD practices and get DORA metrics automatically through that tool, check out CTO.ai. We will help you set up your CI/CD process to automatically collect and search and report on the DORA metrics that come out of your CI/CD practices. And then you can use those and compare them with the word of your team to understand how to continuously improve over time. I want to say a big thank you to Steve from DORA for joining us, and we'll see you soon.